Speedgaming Live, and welcome to the Mystic Quest Randomizer Tournament for 2024. My name is Hebinks, and I am joined in the booth by the ever lovely Fried Potato. Potato, how you doing tonight?
Excellent, excellent. How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to this match one for best of three of SirLinkalot versus fcoughlin. Both runners very good at the randomizer. It's actually kind of funny how the bracket shook out this year, and having these two very reputable runners running against each other in the first bracket.
Definitely, I'm very excited. They were 8th to 9th seed out of the qualifiers, so very evenly matched as far as the overall scoring in that went. I'm definitely excited to see kind of what the seed throws at them and how they approach whatever challenges come across them.
Indeed. And as a quick refresher for anybody who might be joining for the first time, our seed settings for the tournament this year are overworld shuffle with 2 partner lock. So our runners will be randomly assigned 2 partners they are allowed to use throughout the entire seed. The other 2 will be off limits. You can still talk to them and send them to their checkpoints to get their item checks, but you will not be able to recruit them into your party. We're also running expanded spell books and quests. So our runners will have 4 objectives for each of the 2 partners that they are available to pick up tonight. And Potato, would you like to go over those 2 partners and their quests?
Certainly. Our 2 partners tonight are Tristram and Phoebe. And Tristram's quests are defeat the Minotaur, defeat Squidite, save Arian, and save 4 crystals. For Phoebe, we have clear 4 battlefields, collect 23 refreshers, visit Wintry Cave and return to Windia, and defeat 7 mini-bosses.
Awesome. And our runners are already off now. While Linkalot and Freddy get their first checks done, I do want to also mention that go mode for tonight is 24 sky coin shards out of 40. And they will need the Dragon Claw, Mega Grenade, Thunder Rock, Captain's Cap, Mobius Crest, and access to the Windia Town. And we don't know what that's going to be, so it could literally be anyway. But speaking of the Captain's Cap, Freddy going to Volcano first. Looks like he's going to go ahead and pick up Captain's Cap out of the white chest. Meanwhile, Linkalot taking a safety save here at these green caps, which could be a little hazardous, but he's getting through these encounters.
Definitely, with Script Shuffle, you never know what the enemy is going to throw out at you. And if you can't kill them immediately before they take action, you could end up getting surprised by some nasty stuff.
Indeed, but he clears it, and that battlefield was gating his progression to the next zone. So that battlefield will be required to progress into the Aquaria region. So Linkalot now diving into the volcano, getting his checks out of the way. Meanwhile, Freddy's going to do some shopping. Needs 500 GP for a cat claw. We'll see if he bites. That's a steep price for not a great weapon, but claw access is huge in terms of navigation. I'm going to send the homebody over to the mines to await his item pickup.
Definitely. That 500 gold cost is something to be considered, but so is potentially moving forward in the seed without a cat claw or a claw of any sort.
Indeed. And it looks like we are having a little bit of audio issues, so bear with us, chat, while we get those sorted out. Sorry about that. And it looks like Linkalot went the full route to through the top of the volcano to peek the rest of the way for any potential shards, and is going to be a little disappointed. Nothing really on the way there. Meanwhile, fcoughlin has found himself a refresher farm. Very easy route to take right here. It's very few steps, and that's going to get his quest knocked out. For Phoebe to collect 23 refreshers, just going in and out about 7 times. 7 or 8 times should get that quest met, and there it is, easy peasy. Also going to go ahead and knock out a second quest over here by going up here and checking Phoebe's Wintry Cave check. So that's going to give our runners a level 23 Phoebe really early on. We'll see if she gets white. It's about 50-50 on whether or not she's granted white. And White Seal is locked behind level 34, so no early game nuking available for Freddy even after finishing the 2 quests.
Definitely, and they still need to find a way to get back to Windia to complete that level up for her.
Indeed. So while it isn't exactly going to be early firepower, it is going to be at least level 23 once you get to Windia, which will be nice regardless. And getting Phoebe up to level 15 here is going to make farming out this battlefield a little nicer, I would say. Maybe a little bit of a time save compared to Linkalot's farm for that battlefield at the start of the game.
Definitely a little extra HP, and if you really wanted to spend some extra spell charges, you have those available to you as well.
Indeed. It looked like the green caps, or the mint mints as they're known, had a fire attack that had wiped Linkalot once or twice. fcoughlin so far not having any issues yet so far, but there's a mint mint there in that formation that could be hazardous.
Definitely,
But
the fire attacks can come out and do a lot of damage in the early game to both you and your companion, depending on who you end up rolling with.
Indeed. Now Linkalot playing flip-flop really quick and getting his refresher farming out of the way. Coughlin buying some seeds. Looks like he bought about 3. That'll get him set for the rest of the round, so long as he feels like duping seeds. No real shopping needed unless you really, really want to just dump seeds to stop duping. But also buying that cat claw, not taking any chances with progression being gated behind a kitty cat climb wall. I don't blame them, and both of our runners are basically neck and neck going into focus tower. A little bit difference in order in making their checks, but Fred only ahead by a couple steps at this point.
Yeah, showing how they're evenly matched, right?
Exactly. And I think that time save was just because Linkalot took a wipe at that first battlefield at this point, and also taking a save. Now, from what I've seen, fcoughlin tends to save a little less, so that could come back to bite them. We'll see. But they've been pretty on point with their saves so far pre-diving battlegrounds. I think they've seen enough decisions made in this tournament to dissuade the risk-taking for a couple seconds. Linkalot going on the rope bridge, not being rewarded for that detour. No shards on the bridge.
Bad. I'm a fan of the bridge myself. I know some people consider it a waste of time, but I like to grab every shard I can along the way.
Indeed. It's quick, but it's also a bit of a detour, so if you can find something on path, why not? Speaking of things on path, this battlefield, Linkalot has been having terrible luck, and meanwhile, Freddy with the other battlefield in Aquaria over here getting an easy fish fry. The Sphinx enemy, for some reason, just giving the business, and Phoebe's bow is not playing nice. But getting through it, only one more to go. Hopefully it's a single squid, and we'll see some calamari come up on screen real quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Definitely. One of the interesting things about the settings that we're using is, you never know which enemy attacks are going to come out of potentially innocuous creatures that you run into in these battlefields.
Indeed. And it looks like the squid was the one putting out the pain with that double tornado attack. Not something you want to see, but I don't think I saw Linkalot pick up any seeds for any potential dupes or use. He might have, though. I haven't had a good chance to spot the inventory. No seeds. So that's going to be an advantage that fcoughlin has over Linkalot right now, is the freedom to cast spells and clear out these battlefields quickly, as opposed to Linkalot being a little conservative. Double Doom Dance at the start. What is this?
Those are, not nice enemies.
Yeah, indeed. The fish not being kind. And again, Linkalot getting bad luck on these battlefields. You hate to see it. A simple fire cast from Phoebe here would level these fish, but unfortunately, only having Cat Claw kind of limits your ability to clear these out quickly. And it looks like while I was talking about Linkalot's bad luck, fcoughlin ran into a little bit of his own. Again, both of our runners only have an axe and a Cat Claw. Neither exactly great damage dealing weapons early game. And what is with that Doom Dance, man? It is putting the hurt on our runners.
Yeah, you would like to see that miss a little more often if you're our runners. It is, zeroing out one of your companions like that. It just is never something you want to have to deal with in a fight.
Indeed, and fcoughlin now also taking a dive to the Dance of Doom after fighting his way through a very slow 3-fish battlefield. You hate to see it. The frustration was a little palpable on his camera there. My heart could only go out for folks who you struggle through a battlefield, you get to the last enemy, and all of a sudden they just pull a gotcha out of nowhere. Linkalot was saving between every fight at this point. I don't blame him.
Yeah, with the abilities these guys are throwing out, you don't want to risk losing a whole fight's worth of progress, since it's taking so long just to clear one in some of these situations.
Indeed, and Linkalot probably taking a counterattack to go down quicker as a strategic move there. It looks like going down with Phoebe is basically game over. I'm surprised neither of our runners have opted to adopt Madam President strats in this battlefield and just have been blocked for the Doom dances. You know, because at this point he's kind of worthless for damage, so just have Phoebe be your firepower. Although when you're getting ambushed like that first turn, there's no blocking. It's just all RNG.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do in situations like that to sort of mitigate the abilities that these enemies are dishing out and constantly hitting with.
Indeed. So, little bit of an advantage to fcoughlin as that grows, and the wipes are not making this fun, and I think Linkalot is on their last encounter here. Yeah, 1 out of 5 remaining here. Gonna get some decent levels out of this though. Level 8, probably level 9 by the end of this gauntlet.
If it's ever done, yes. He'll be happy to move on, I'm sure.
Indeed. Meanwhile, fcoughlin got a battle axe from the battlefield that Linkalot's on right now, and has some trees to mow down as some cathartic revenge. Gets rewarded with the fire book, not something you want to see. Spells in this game, for anybody who doesn't know, chat, are power locked behind progression on where you would find them in the vanilla game. So for instance, because you find Quake and Fire so early in the game, they're never really going to do a noteworthy amount of damage. In your partner's hands, maybe, because Phoebe has high power. But, I mean, high magic ability, but in Ben's hands, it's kind of worthless. Now, an interesting thing I just saw, and I don't know if you caught it when fcoughlin did it as well, but both of our runners stepped in the sand temple basically on reflex, and then was like, oh no, I can't just send Tristan along. I would have to keep him. I don't have Windia available yet. So both runners preventing the lockout of their powerhouse. Smart moves from both of them.
It's definitely something you want to keep in mind as you're talking to the various companions. You don't want to accidentally swap out of somebody that is powerful, like their Phoebe in this case, for a Tristram that would be markedly less useful at this point.
Yeah, especially since they have not gotten any of his upgrade requirements yet. Minotaur, Squidite, Arian, and 4 crystals are what you need to upgrade Tristan, neither of which has been available so far.
Definitely, so they would be looking at a level 7 Tristram, who's definitely not going to be very useful without Bone Dungeon to take him to. You know, there's not even a point really in picking him up right now, I think, and the runner's definitely making the right call to leave him waiting in his cave.
Indeed. Meanwhile, speaking of making calls, this Jin here is stacked. It's got, I think, Petrification, it's got Breakbeak, it's got high damaging attacks, it's got a sleep attack, and a drain hit, which is killing Ben in one shot over on fcoughlin screen. Definitely something that you want to come in a little harder on if possible, but I don't know what checks we have available outside of Jin.
I think it's just Jin and Medusa, actually, at this point.
Indeed, so. And if with Jin hitting like this, I would be surprised if our runners didn't fade the Fat Genie and decide to go back to the Snake Lady. But fcoughlin now getting through it, looks like through the worst of the... Ooh, never mind, spoke too soon. And I don't know if they've picked up any heal spell. Nope, no heal potions on their side of the field. So they are just stuck with a fight they can't get out of. Unfortunate. I do think I saw Linkalot pick up a couple brown boxes out of safety. Did pick up a heal potion. So if he does also make the Jin play after this... will have a way to break his Phoebe out of petrification, giving him a bit of a safety net.
Definitely, it can come in handy looting those brown boxes, even on seeds where refreshers aren't a quest for situations like this, where you don't have life or heal as a spell, but still need some way to get out of, those between a rock and a hard place situations, so to speak.
For sure. And Linkalot's gut is telling him, let's go back, get some seeds, and then we'll see what play he makes from here. He's got easy access to Volcano, or he can trek back to...
They also have Hydra on the table, considering the Lava Dome is in Fresno, although I'm sure neither of them at this point want to go toe-to-toe with the dual head.
Indeed. And it looks like Linkalot's going to push Medusa. She has been a huge gatekeeper, making a scum save right here. I appreciate it. In case this doesn't pan out to be worth anything, or if it's just too much to really get through, he'll be able to quickly exit back. For sure. Won't have to trek back down the volcano. Instead, just reload the save and get out of dodge. Also, as chat pointed out, Linkalot has a little bit of a level advantage, having taken a couple more battlefields than fcoughlin here. So we'll have a bit more safety coming into this fight, although I do believe Medusa has a bit more HP than Jin, but as long as the status ailments don't stack up, we should be good. Poison really isn't that bad. I think I just saw a sleep attack come out of one of the dogs.
So far, looking a little bit better than the Gen as far as what sort of abilities are coming out, that's for sure.
Indeed. Poison being one of the most benign status elements you can get in the game. It does cost time. Let's be fair. It costs time to see your HP tick every turn like that, and it can add up over time. However, definitely the least immediately threatening abilities you can get. Let's see if there's a defense followed by a life. Love to see it. Yeah, Madam President is in full swing here. Meanwhile, fcoughlin gets to that nasty Jin and is rewarded with a Dragon Claw.
Oh, fun.
Indeed. That being said, that really only puts P Tower on the table for our runners, and I don't foresee them rushing the Jerkbird anytime soon, though it does open up Flare and Xcal chests if fcoughlin decides to make that dive. Also looks like autopiloting back towards the Charm Claw, but no explosives. They're not going to be able to open the cave for Charm Claw, so instead they're just going to have to dive on out.
Yeah, unfortunately, no bombs yet. You can't, fully clear out the mine while you're here, so hopefully it's not a check that gets forgotten about.
Indeed, and Linkalot being extra conservative with this fight, and I don't blame him in the slightest. Opting to, whenever Phoebe gets anywhere near 50% HP, block an attack, cast life, and move on. Extra chunky lady tonight. The snake lady is not being nice at all.
No, she doesn't want to go. She doesn't want to give up whatever it is that she's, holding on to for these runners.
For Linkalot's safe, I hope it's something good, because this is going to be a bit arduous. All right, moving on to phase 2 here. Meanwhile, fcoughlin making their way up to P Tower again, probably checking the Excal and the Flare chest I mentioned earlier. Will probably not take on Jerkbird, and especially cannot take on Jerkbird if they're on floors 4 through 6, because they do not have explosives to hit the switch on floor 6 to lock Jerkbird on floor 5 or 6.
Right. The game is hopefully not expecting you to full clear Pazuzu's tower right now.
Indeed,
but there are two pretty quick items to get, all things considered.
Yep, and if the Jerkbird is holding something, both of our runners will have access. Ooh, that's huge. That's not go mode, but that's huge to have in your arsenal. Definitely a comfort play right there for SirLinkalot, getting life out of Medusa. But yeah, if Jerkbird's required, he's on floor 6, so this will be an easy in and out once our runners get explosives if they want to take on the big bird.
Definitely one of my favorite floors to see him on. That one and 1 really are kind of my 2 preferred ones to see him on if I'm going to have to do a return trip to take on the Jerkbird.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Linkalot probably making his way over to Jin. Logically, the next place he would be gated to besides Lava Dome. Meanwhile, fcoughlin getting a river coin for his dive here. in the
Definitely
X-Count chest.
rewarded with the progressions. There's somewhere hiding out there, you know, and a few steps ahead of Linkalot. Although, if he never goes back for Medusa, he'll be going without that very useful spell Life for the rest of the seeds. So.
Indeed, and we have seen runners take out Dark King without life before, so this could be a huge time save for Coughlin. But if Dark King rolls mean, it could be a hindrance rather than a benefit here. Meanwhile, Linkalot stacked with seeds and some good firepower coming in here. About the same setup as Coughlin in terms of damage, but I think a couple more levels will make a little bit of difference here.
Definitely, and I mean, to his benefit, he does have life to, you know, heal up Phoebe with Benjamin if the situation should present itself.
Indeed, so no longer needing to rely upon heal potions, and you know, for situations like that where Phoebe gets crit, he can instead last ditch attempt to life, although speed is going to be a factor here. Meanwhile, F. Coughlin stopping by Aquaria. I don't think I saw him stop in the shop.
He did.
So
Venus
I don't.
Key.
Okay. Venus Key available for sale
as well. Yeah, something you
Good
can
eye.
put off purchasing really right now if you wanted to, and wait, come back later if it's you know, not something that he wants to spend the money on right away.
Indeed. And already seeing that little bit of extra HP come in clutch for Linkalot on a couple of these attacks here. Being able to live through a little bit more than Coughlin was, although with Blow Dart and that Petrification attack on the table, anything could change here quickly. Lullaby is an annoyance, but thankfully, Phoebe being level 23, she now has immunity from sleep, which is going to be very nice. Meanwhile, we're going to crack open some crab legs over on F. Coughlin's screen now that we have Giant's Axe.
That sounds delicious. Definitely the play to make. Both based in a pretty quick check, all things considered, at most points in the game, luckily.
Ooh, and white, a nice reward. Was that a double Petrify I saw?
I think so. Definitely incredibly unlucky with the RNG there as far as what abilities Jin decided to toss out.
Indeed, yeah, it looks like a Desperation attack double Petrify, and that is terrifying to know that's on the table.
Certainly explains, you know, why Fred had a little bit of trouble getting through it. Jin is putting up quite a fight.
Indeed. Meanwhile, F. Coughlin stopping by a battlefield before, right around the ice pyramid. Does not have swords, will not be able to dive the pyramid proper. I didn't get a good look at what color this battlefield was, though.
It is a blue one, so hoping for maybe that sword or bomb, something that pushes him further. Maybe he'll get this sun coin here and just be able to go explore more of the world.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Linkalot getting status locked here, not something you want to see, especially when you're in a race. Ooh, breaking out. That's a lucky break. Not getting petrified on that break beak. And Wake Water at that battlefield. We've already seen Aquaria on the overworld, especially like right here. Right next to Wake Water. You love to see it. We'll see if Coughlin decides to do a Spencer dive after doing some shopping for the Venus Key.
Definitely. Now this is a situation, right, where you're going to pick that up because now it is useful. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see him do a save scum here. We don't have exit to make it faster, but...
Not just going to live with the consequences, whatever they may be. Although logic is in his favor. Ice Pyramid being on the map means that swords got to be in logic somewhere. And explosives have yet to reveal themselves as well. So if Jerkbirds required logically, explosives are going to be somewhere.
Definitely. You know they're out there. You just have to hunt around for them. And just the cure spell, really, for his purposes, as he already has the Dragon Claw, so...
Indeed. So a bit of a womp womp that Spencer's handing out here, unfortunately. Now, there's also a North Focus Tower on the table. The Venus Key chest itself will not be available to our runners until they get explosives. However, the Blizzard chest will be available for our runners. And Linkalot taking another unfortunate dive at Phase 3. You hate to see it.
This Jan is not playing nice for these runners at all tonight.
Indeed, definitely giving them a run for their money. It looks like there was another battlefield available here. I could not see what color it was before Freddy jumped into it.
I did not either on this one. Maybe just hunting for some additional XP before he moves on.
Could be a comfort play here. Definitely a play to make for sure. That petrification, I'm sure that both of our runners are desperately wanting an Age of Shield at this point after all of those petrify attacks. Chat letting me know that they think it's a money battlefield,
that would make sense.
which would be
I believe
nice.
he was down to his last seed, so you know, probably looking to purchase some more seeds soon. Petrify all over this seed. Goodness.
Indeed. Ooh, Linkalot in a tough spot right here. Hopefully he gets a little lucky. Unfortunately, no. Yep. Phoebe getting petrified is risky, especially after Ben's already taken a hit.
Definitely. There's only so much you can do, you know, and if Phoebe gets turned to stone and then the boss decides to one-shot your main character, you know, it's just game over. You know, there's nothing you can do at these levels. You're not going to get the speed you need to act first enough.
Indeed, and Linkalot taking an interesting play here, switching back to the Cat Claw to try to get poison off on the Jin, hopefully hoping that the extra damage per turn will add up to be a quicker kill.
That's a smart play at, you know, a little bit of incremental damage over the course of this. If he can keep up and just stay alive long enough, it could definitely help.
Indeed, 99 damage per turn is nothing to sneeze at as it adds up over time, and hoping that that is the equalizer for this fight. Meanwhile, fcoughlin heading back to Aquaria now that they've thawed out the region.
Yep, another check here, North Forkus Tower, like you mentioned earlier, as well as whatever, you know, was unlocked behind this weight water.
Yep, and Linkalot now switching the full triage now that he successfully poisoned the Jin, using every turn to preemptively cast life on Phoebe, taking no chances even at phase 2 here. I respect it, especially since things can go very sideways with a well-placed crit or petrification from the big mean genie at any second here.
It's definitely smart, you know, adjust to what you've seen the boss do as well as you can. And with that life spell that he picked up earlier, he's able to sort of preempt the Jin, just ending the fight.
Indeed, sticking the good old thunder here, topping Phoebe back up. Probably, I think he's only got a couple more rounds left to survive here. Let's hope he gets through this one pretty quickly. Meanwhile, fcoughlin enhancing his lead now with an elixir from the cure chest here, and forced to stop it at the dab bed. 1, 2, and fully topped up on HP and charges. Linkalot now getting through that heck of a fight and is going to be rewarded with Dragon Claw. Let's see where he decides to take it. P Tower is an option that's available, taking South Route out since he knows he cannot get in the Charm Claw. And let's see what's in North Forkus Tower. Thunder, not the spell you want to see.
No, not at all. I mean, better than anything else I believe he's picked up. No, I think he has white right at this point. So, yeah,
Indeed.
Definitely not something we're probably going to see him cast on Benjamin very often, if at all.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Linkalot scoping out the overworld and probably deciding that P Tower is the place to be at this point. There are no other good options. Runners back in step, but just remember, chat, that Linkalot is a bit behind because of some bad encounter RNG. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get through that. Diving Hydra. Oh, no, never mind. Opting for P Tower instead. That being said,
we know the river coin is here, so that will push him at least to the areas that Fred has already seen. So,
indeed, but also we know that there are no explosives or swords yet, and I think
Hydra.
Yeah, Fred now going to go get his life from Medusa.
You can't lock floor 6 without bombs?
No, you cannot, unfortunately. Okay. There is an explosive, limited. Yeah, there's an explosive door. So once the Linkalot gets up here to floor 6, you'll see there's an explosive door gating the switch. Linkalot trying to peek the Jerkbird's location. He'll be pleasantly surprised / disappointed at its location at the top of the tower, but that'll tell him that logically Jerkbird is not gating any sort of explosive. So a bit of a sigh of relief as well.
Definitely, and that potential advantage he picked up by getting life, due to the gating in the seed, Fred is heading there before going to what looks like might be Hydra still, for his subsequent progression.
Indeed. And now life will equalize their chances on Dark King. So definitely a play that is going to be rewarded. It's not going to be go mode rewarded or progression rewarded, but rewarded nonetheless. There's confusion on the field. I did not see last time we were here. That is mildly terrifying. Let's hope those dogs go down relatively quickly. A little bit of diversity in the strats here. You saw Linkalot focus down those dogs as quickly as possible, and for good reason. They are a menace. I feel like every time I come into this Medusa fight, Medusa is less terrifying than those two dogs she has with her.
Definitely.
They are truly stacked when it comes to getting attacks shuffled onto them.
Yeah, her minions are, I think, the most terrifying out of all the mini bosses minions that I generally see on these seeds. They just seem to roll the nastiest abilities to accompany, the Medusa.
Indeed. But now that the enemies are free and clear, fcoughlin going to be showing off the power of white here. Is going to be cruising through this fight a little bit faster than Linkalot was able to take it, mostly just because of the power difference here.
Definitely, white is a great spell. You'd prefer to have flare, but white will definitely do the job for most of these mini bosses in a pinch, especially if you have enough seeds to just keep those charges going.
Indeed. And Linkalot on his way out. I'll be interested to see where he decides to go. Is he... Yep, keeps going to Lava Dome, considering it, but is going to end up fading it, probably taking the same checks that fcoughlin took earlier. But we now know that Hydra is more likely than not gating our explosives or a sword for our runners here.
I don't know, did we see Mount Gale in the two areas that we have access to? That's the one other place that they'd have access to right now, but I don't recall if it has shown up yet.
We have not seen Mount Gale yet. That is another option that's available, but Doulahan is a menace, and I would not want to fight him at this level anyways.
Definitely. It wouldn't be adding a good choice to the table for the runners, that's for sure.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Linkalot now going to go check and see what's available from the vendor. I think his money routing's been a little bit better than fcoughlin, so is going to be able to buy that Venus key outright. I don't see why he wouldn't purchase it right away. Yep. Instead of having to make the return trip. Gonna save a couple steps here, and it's probably gonna be ending up at the battlefield, wake water, back to progression. Eventually,
yeah,
Falls Basin.
Just a few steps behind at this point due to that Jin fight.
Indeed, and seeing the difference between the 2 and 3 pillar setup here, about 6 one way, half dozen the other in terms of speed. I think 3 pillar is just ever slightly faster in terms of step routing, but it depends on the way the enemy patterns shake out as well.
Yeah, and typically you would save the screen transitions, but because we're peeking for shards in that room, you don't really save that over the 2 pillar that you would normally.
Indeed, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And now we're about to crack open some crag legs. Meanwhile, fcoughlin already pressing the Hydra door switch, making their way down. Let's see how loaded this lava dome is. Generally, this is a really good location for shards, just because of the sheer amount of brown boxes available in this location to be turned into shard chests. Seeing a lot of brown, though, so far. Not a lot of red.
Yeah, definitely not as many as you want to have seen by now, although that one, you can't peek that one without walking fairly far into the room, unfortunately. So I definitely understand why that is one that maybe got passed on, and with the route, I don't see him going back for.
Indeed. Meanwhile, it looks like Linkalot's trying to pick some more levels here, trying to pick some low count battlefields just to try to top himself off before a potential forced Hydra. Ooh, four chest room being loaded with 3 fragments out of 4. Love seeing that.
Definitely a little bit, the shards are a little deeper today in Lava Dome than perhaps he was expecting, but they are here. Another 2, nice.
Indeed. And now Linkalot back and forth between these battlefields and has not peeked up behind Ice Pyramid yet. I'll be interested to see if he accidentally fades this check. It's pretty easy to miss if you don't do your due diligence. But nope, we're going to see it.
Yeah,
Dodge
it's
the
definitely
bullet.
one I've overlooked important locations there before because it's not moving far up enough on the map, and it definitely, is something you got to keep in mind.
Indeed, Linkalot having the power his way through 4 of these relatively easy fights, making short work of them though. I think fcoughlin had like 1 or 2 little mishaps in this fight and didn't get through it quite as quickly. I could be misremembering though.
Yeah, I don't think Fred took as many of the battle tiles, that's for sure, over here. And, considering that he's still lower level than SirLinkalot is now, definitely hope SirLinkalot will hopefully be able to make up a little bit of time on encounters.
Yeah, meanwhile, fcoughlin taking on the Hydra. We'll see if he's extra mean tonight. Definitely dishing out the damage. 450 is not a comfortable threshold, but it is survivable so long as you're topped up on Ben. Meanwhile, Linkalot making the Spencer dive, not safe scumming as well, is going to be living with the consequences of making that raw dive. Meanwhile, fcoughlin on phase 2 of Hydra. So far, nothing too terrible in terms of attacks, besides some just decent damage coming out. But with life and white in Ben's arsenal now, this should not be too terrible. There's some breath, but it is the more benign of the 2 breath attacks you can get. Hydra breath being way easier to manage than Wyvern breath. If you get Wyvern, the refight version of this boss's breath rolled into an attack, that is like an easy 500 to 600 damage coming at you.
Yeah, it's always a little bit of a shock when an enemy on the battlefield rolls that and just decimates, even a fairly well-prepared party.
Yep. Now, both of our runners do have fire mitigation. They have fire resistance available, picking up the Moon Helm early and then eventually getting that Apollo's helmet, which also gives our runners fire breath. But fcoughlin taking a dive here, 1 dive down so far. Unfortunate, but Hydra's kind of one of our great equalizers this tournament. You wouldn't think it, but if you're gated behind Forced Hydra, it's a fight you have to know that you are equipped for in terms of either levels, spells, or strategy. Being able to take this boss on with randomized attacks is no small feat, especially with some of the weird combinations he's been getting this tournament.
Definitely, and I wonder if that's something SirLinkalot had in mind. We saw him hover over Lava Dome a few times early, and maybe he has, been thinking about the preparation necessary to take on a required Hydra with the tools, the limited tools they've received so far.
Indeed. Now we're going to be seeing a retrack of some of the checks that fcoughlin made earlier, and is going to be getting, I believe, elixir from this giant axe chest down in the bottom of the forest. We'll also see if he peeks the bottom of Giant Tree. I really don't foresee a Ghidra climb, but I've been wrong before. Ghidra could also be gating our explosives or sword or any sort of progressions for our runner. I just realized
we do need a sword though to progress all the way up the tree to Ghidra.
That is right.
Get to the top of this floor before the tree mouths would refuse to open for us.
Indeed. So yeah, if Hydra's gating a sword, that puts Ghidra on the table as well as...
That would be fantastic. Yes, please.
It'll put Ice Pyramid and Ghidra on the table. And honestly, I think both of our runners would 9 times out of 10 pick Pyramid over Ghidra any day of the week.
Definitely, even without bombs, which would prevent them. If bombs aren't in there, they wouldn't be able to finish Ice. But hopefully, maybe would receive some other progression within that would allow them to detour away from, going up the tree.
Indeed. fcoughlin on the final throws of the Hydra, not taking it risky like last time, or just getting bad luck, I believe, just taking it safe here, and is going to be clearing out this fight. We'll see what Hydra is gating. Meanwhile, Linkalot also probably going to be stopping by the dab bed after making this shard check. Yep. It's a free refill. Why not?
Oh, yeah.
Takes a couple seconds.
Save a little bit of money at the very least, right?
Indeed. And will not be stopping by Kaylee's house. None of the required items are available. We do know that unfortunately is thunder up here, I believe. So
yes.
The redive in the North Focus Tower is not great. Getting the Sun Coin, so no immediate progression for our Go Mode items. Still no explosives, still no sword on the table, but now a whole new continent is now available to our runners, which is nice, but I'm sure, yep, SirLinkalot's probably pieced together at this point. The only way to go is to Lava Dome.
Yep. Unfortunate, but I'm sure at least the Sun Coin probably the better option for what Fred could have gotten there. Claw or Sword doesn't really let him explore another area and would only open up 1 or 2 more checks for him. So this at least gets him Windia, which is going to give him white on Phoebe, which will be fantastic and definitely give them a little more power to push through the rest of the seed.
Indeed. Noble armor available from the shop, and no hesitation from fcoughlin there. Buying the armor just for the poison immunity and the water protection, I presume. Meanwhile, leveling up Phoebe. No Thunder Rock to turn in. Not even stopping by Grandma or Grandpa's house or checking the Hermit. Oh, nope, doubling back in. Are going to see a Hermit check.
Yep, go through the back way to this guy's house. So you can't get out his front door, but he's got something for you. Oh, and
Vanilla Mega Grenades. That is a sight to see. Normally he does gate that in vanilla. So now that we know Megas are on the table, this is going to open up a lot of options. There's a potential Lava Dome revisit. There's the rest of the locations that we have here in Windia region.
Yep, and all of a sudden we are just a Thunder Rock away from Go Mode.
Indeed. The contemplation here, making a quick save before diving in. I think fcoughlin was considering doubling back for Tristram really quick, but then decided no, I'd rather not. We'll just go for the quick kill on Rex.
Definitely something to consider. You know, you've only got one thing you need really to be able to beat the game outside of shards. So perhaps you can sort of orphan the Tristram 1 and 2 checks to save you some time.
Yeah, meanwhile, Linkalot opting to check the right side here, probably a little starved for shards, is going to be realizing that he is not going to be able to check those Mega Grenade checks, but, you know, trying to get his shard count out of the way now, saving some visits later. I have not seen either runner's inventory in a long time, so unfortunately I do not know how close to 24 they are, but that little detour there may have saved Linkalot some time, may have not. It all just kind of comes down to the way the shards are rolling. Meanwhile, fcoughlin having to take an encounter here, and remember, the enemy encounters are tied to the region for the native monsters in the area, so even though there's this bone dungeon, because it's in the Windia region, you are fighting P-Tower, you know, Windia battlefield,
definitely
just Captain Max ship tier enemies.
It can be a blessing and a curse sometimes, you know. It can be a source of good experience if you've got the tools to deal with them, or it can be, you know, a frustrating experience in some of these one-wide hallways that the dungeons have if they get put in this area.
Indeed. Libra Crest on the table for Quake Box, and let's see what Rex is hiding.
All right, 2 items here. Gotta love that. The most rewarding boss out of the 4 Crystal Dungeon bosses.
Down he goes. Looked like about 2600 HP. I could have been wrong though. So a little bit on the heavier side for a Flameless Rex, but really probably would have been a two-turn fight with the firepower our runners had, if not for the instant kill with life there.
Definitely a couple white casts, and he wouldn't be sticking around very long.
Indeed. Now Linkalot showing off a little bit of the peak routing, not having to go in that bottom door there because he used the peninsula on the right-hand side when he went to the right-hand side of Dome to peek that chest early, and fcoughlin being rewarded with a steel shield, which isn't great, but bombs is going to open up a couple other locations now. Runners will, yeah, they'll be able to take on Jerkbird. They'll be able to check Charmclaw.
Yes, I mean, those bombs, though, were the downgrade, since to get in here, he got the Megas in their vanilla locations, so...
Oh, yeah, true.
So, unfortunately,
had.
Flameless really didn't give us any rewards tonight, which is a little sad. I'm sure not we saw him make the saves come outside, so he was contemplating whether or not it was worth it to even come in here a little bit as well, and it turned out not really.
Yeah, maybe, what was it, like 3 or 4 shards we saw him pick up, so I guess having that option on the table made it preferable not to just reset out. Meanwhile, Linkalot now going to be taking on Hydra, using the power of white to get through there. And I'll be interested to see Coughlin's next move. There's a temple here. There's a blue battlefield. That's going to be enticing. Getting rewarded with that Lever Crest from the Quake box is going to immediately come into use here. We're going to see what White's handing out. He's handing out the Thunder Rock.
All right, then. So the Bone Dungeon dive did pay off, since you needed that Lever Crest to get that Thunder Rock. So Fred just needs shards now, it looks like.
Indeed, technical go mode has been achieved, but it's a matter of comfort in the terms of levels and equipment to take on the final fight. Again, Dark King has been randomized in terms of attacks, so he could be easy breezy, or he could be putting on the hurt for our runners tonight.
Definitely, you never know.
Yep, and Linkalot getting a decent pattern with the Hydra here. Optimal order, basically, Hydra killing Ben, Phoebe picking him up, and then Ben getting off. That white is the preferable boss order you like to see, because after you get picked up with life, you get to get your attack off, which is always nice. Ooh, nice crit.
Definitely. Yeah, that one level I think that SirLinkalot had, plus just the RNG being what it is. Maybe he'll get through this fight a little quicker than it took Fred and be able to equalize some of this time.
Indeed, or it could be what gives fcoughlin the advantage in terms of just rushing King as soon as possible. And taking out a really easy King at the end of a road at level 14, 15. We've seen it done before in tournaments prior. Good RNG can get you through King, especially when it's randomized. But yeah, as chat's pointing out, not having your key pieces of equipment that gate a lot of the nasty status ailments is another factor to consider on how risky you want to make your dives with. And, sticking through and trying to force your way through a Dark King fight at level 14, 15, only to have to back travel out without exit and leave and get levels is a huge time loss.
Definitely, and that's what's always in the back of my mind when it comes to this point. When you're presented with a fairly jetty go mode, what level are you comfortable with, and what items are you comfortable with not having? Is really what it comes down to, because you could risk it and get rewarded, but the potential downside could be extreme.
Indeed. Now it looks like Coughlin's going straight for it. I'll be interested to see if he takes some encounters intentionally here on Max Ship, or just goes ahead and goes straight to Doom Castle, and darn the torpedoes and just goes straight into it.
Yeah, there's some nice encounters in here. I like to keep an eye out for the red demon-looking guys. They tend to be the most worth it in my mind, at least, as well as the Lamias. They can sometimes be a quick fight in here to get some XP at the end of the seed.
Yep, and indeed, chat, your trackers that you're seeing underneath the runner screens are accurate. No Aegis Shield, no Venus Shield, Paralysis on the table. Petrification on the table, Confusion on the table for the nasty status ailments our runners could be hit by if the King rolls those attacks. Linkalot wasting no time, no double dip here, just going to go straight into the Hermit's house, knowing that the basement entrance is available via teleport. Meanwhile, fcoughlin, having cleared out Max Ship, is leaving. I don't know if he's short on shards or if he's going to do a little bit of level farming, but not diving in the Doom Castle quite yet.
I wouldn't be surprised if he still needs to pick up some shards to finish this out, as well as maybe just once, 1 or 2 more levels at least, to get that 4th spell charge on Benjamin, to maybe, make the Dark King fight a little faster and or easier.
Indeed, Linkalot has been a bit more methodical when it comes to checking their shard locations, trying to grab shards at any possible opportunity, even going out of their way a few times to get some. So I'm sure he's got a slightly higher shard count than fcoughlin here. having checked locations like the temples, like going out of his way and getting a few here and there. And a question from the chat here: is this max level for Phoebe, or is there another quest? With quest expanded, chat, Phoebe can go all the way up to level 41. So there is one more quest available for her. That quest is defeat 7 mini bosses. So if our runners are so inclined, they can go take out Ghidra and Doulahan and get a very powerful Phoebe. I like to refer to her as Final Phoebe because she really is all you need. She's the final boss of the game, not the Dark King.
Definitely, and as you say that, Fred heads into the tree probably just looking for shards, but if the total shards he needs leads him all the way to the top, oh no sword, so can't even go past this floor. Unfortunate, actually.
Indeed, and we're seeing a little bit of a flip-flop here with the player routing. We'll see Linkalot catch up a little bit. I think he just recognized that he faded a shard chest, but instead he's probably going to save it for the trip out. Just kind of make a mental note to check the right chest on the way, which is generally the side that runners take anyways. Tristan not gating anything go mode, but he could have some of our good pieces of equipment. Neither of our runners picked him up to bring here into Bone Dungeon.
Yeah, he could be sitting on, I think, Flare would be nice to have. The Gaia Armor or Aegis Shield, I don't believe we've seen yet. So, or the Cupid Locket. All of those would be, helpful in the Dark King fight.
Indeed. And also, chat putting out no sword. So you would not be able to, like you say, proceed up tree for sword. You won't be able to dive pyramid for shards. Kind of gated in terms of your shard availability here. Hopefully we'll get a peek at Linkalot's menu here soon to see how many he's gotten.
Right, he's got to be getting close at this point.
Indeed. Oh yeah, Squidite needs to be defeated too. I completely forgot Squidite has not been taken out. He could be gating a good piece of equipment, but also there's 6 chests that our runners did not have access to earlier because bombs were blocking off these locations in Winter Cave. Winter Cave could have some shards for our runners.
There's definitely a few more places to peek off the beaten path. It's interesting. We got go mode so quickly. There's a lot of places left not fully discovered.
Ooh, bit of a freeze up on fcoughlin stream. We'll work to get that fixed up for you, chat. Meanwhile, Linkalot taking out Flamer's Rex, easy peasy lemon squeezy, is going to be rewarded with those, unfortunately, dud checks, if I'm being frank. But now being able to clear through it. And as I missed it, but fcoughlin did check North Focus Tower Venus key chest and was rewarded with the Venus shield. So I believe that's also another vanilla location that's available.
Oh yeah, that was the vanilla location. I believe that he picked that up. That is interesting. Yeah, at least he has that over just the steel shield. I'm sure he's happy to get every little bit as he moves closer and closer to making the final decision to go to Dark King.
Yep, Squidite dropping multi-key is going to be giving our runners quick access from Fireberg back to Windia if they need it.
That's also the logical access to those mega bombs. So he got that and now is back in logic.
Indeed. Meanwhile, Linkalot remembering that shard, and I think both of our runners are using personal trackers to keep count of those shards. So unfortunately, we're probably not going to see the menu crack open enough to see how many shards either one of them has. And T-Rock for Linkalot, I'm sure he feels happy about that.
Definitely,
again,
especially after the fights that the seed has put them through so far, to know that he's sort of got that secured.
Indeed. Both are runners at the same level now, so level is not going to be the great equalizer anymore. Instead, it's going to be who gets their shards the quickest, and also if they find any other pieces of equipment before jumping into King, and at what level they decide to make that dive. Level 15 is still a bit sketch. Generally 18's the safe space, but I've been seeing 17 and 16's full of confidence going in. So
Definitely, there's a lot of wiggle room there. You know, if you feel comfortable with triaging the amount of damage that can potentially come out, you know, that level 16 could be the way to go and win the race.
Ooh, watch Doulahan be gating a sword.
That would be. I wouldn't be surprised at this point because a sword is necessary for something in Ice Pyramid, which would get everybody back on track.
Oh man, I was about to say I said that jokingly, but Linkalot about to find out for me. But no, just taking a peek at Mount Gale, and I think also a bit short on shards. So our runners are basically neck and neck at this point. Coughlin's already turned in the cap, so he will not have to fight his way down to Mac. However, Linkalot now on his way to clear out ship, and if he's good on shards, he might be able to make the dive. 20. He's short 4.
The ship could have 4. There are that many boxes on the ship now. Whether or not they got there, I wasn't paying that close of attention when Fred did his dive to know if there are all 4 here.
I saw 2, but no one checked bow. No one ever checks bow of ship. That's where the good stuff's hiding, guys. If you're doing brown box shuffle with key items, that's where the Dragon Claw's hiding. Let me tell you, out of personal experience. That's never happened to me before. Never. I'm not scarred. I'm saving Arian.
Interesting. He picked up Tristram, so maybe he's looking. This is going to give him exit, so maybe he wanted to pick that up to sort of navigate around while he's picking up his final shards.
Indeed, and I think picking up Tristram here just for the maneuverability for shards is probably a smart move. Windia already being required to get to max ship anyways. There's bow of ship. It's a brown box. I feel better now.
Still 2 to go, it looks like, unless there's some. I think there's 1 or 2 we couldn't see from the walk down hiding in the back here. So
indeed, this is one of them, and this room up here is the next. Unfortunately, no shards, so Linkalot will have to run back out into the world and get his shards before getting go mode.
Red, it looks like he's opted to pick up some of these straggling checks that were left out there. Picking up Tristram, coming over here doing this. We saw him.
Oh, Linkalot's making a play. This play. If bottom floor of Doom Castle has his 2 shards, he's got go mode and XP waiting here. This could be what he needs.
I'm not sure there can be shards before the door there. I mean, maybe there can be, but I don't think in any of the seeds I've run, I've seen them there. So
I think it's possible. And also here on the sand floor, there's a couple boxes that are brown boxes normally that can be shard boxes.
Oh, all right. Yeah, then this could be a play. Or perhaps he gets a sword from the Doom Castle box and can, quickly go into Ice Pyramid, which would, certainly have more than 2 shards.
Indeed. This, in terms of risk, though, this is a huge one. So let's see. Nothing on Shifting Sand 1. Gonna go ahead and check Aegis check. Flare is rewarded. So not only does he have firepower, he's got even better firepower. Making a dive out, though. Yeah, Wild Ham confirming my speculations is a little out of left field. But I appreciate the confirmation. Wild Ham shoutouts again, without whom this would not be possible because he's the developer of our lovely randomizer. And while our runners scavenge for their last shards, feel free to check out ffmqrando.net if you're interested in any of this action on screen tonight.
Definitely fantastic to have the developer of the rando so active still and involved with the restream and the tournament itself. It's just nice. To get to talk about and discover sort of how the game works behind the scenes.
Indeed. And some of my speculations here, always very nice to have the developer confirm those to make sure that, I wrote it so it could be that way or not. Always nice.
Right.
Linkalot going back into P Tower. There was two shards here blocked behind bombs.
Good heads up to remember that there were shards that he had seen that he could not access when he was here. There's a lot of things these runners see over the course of the race, and being able to remember a key detail like that, could be a deciding factor. You never know.
Indeed. But yeah, I remember there being a box on floor 4, and I don't know if floor... there was another... Oh, yeah. 4 and 1.
Yes,
so
yeah,
basically
there was
taking
one in the closet on floor 1, yeah.
Yeah. So opting for the known goodies, taking the shortcut staircase. This is not available in vanilla. Going straight down to floor 4 is going to be immediately rewarded for his knowledge of the randomizer and that extra door that's added.
Super heads up to be keeping track of those shards along the way. What have I seen? You know, he only needed 2, and Ice Pyramid's just not available. You know, in a normal situation, Ice Pyramid has a ton of shards that these runners would have seen 20, 30 minutes ago, potentially even. But, you know, without a sword available very easily in the seed, you know, it's just not an option.
Indeed. Unfortunately, fcoughlin taking the long route here, getting a sword and diving another great shard location in the form of Ice Pyramid. Unfortunately, though, I think SirLinkalot is now in go mode. Shards being the decider here, but we'll see how mean Dark King is. Both runners still at level 15.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, we saw some encounters easily accessible in Doom Castle on the way to the door. So I wonder if he's going to stop and take those to at least get 16, or if he's going to just gun it and go at 15 and roll the dice.
Looks like SirLinkalot stopping by a battlefield. Now, there is a known glitch with leveling up. If SirLinkalot gets a level up from the final reward of this battlefield, he'll get rewarded with 2 levels. It's just something wonky with the game. While your XP required to the level after that will not change, you'll still need to get the same amount you normally would. If this is your last level up before Dark King, a double level up is a huge boon.
Definitely pushing him right to 18 would probably put him in a comfortable range. I know a lot of runners to just go for it.
Indeed. Let's see if the XP lines up for him. He did take a level up in fight 2 here. So it might not line up appropriately for him, but still, even if it pushes him up to 17, that's a bit more than he had before. Getting stopped short, just short of 16, weighing his options.
Too bad there's not a one encounter tile out there that's just left for them.
Yeah, and as we saw, there's a couple good fights right there on the first floor, but SirLinkalot going straight to India. Looks like he's going for it.
Definitely, especially after the Hydra fight and the Jin fight earlier in the seed. You know, he probably doesn't feel super comfortable just because knowing that, you know, the RNG could have definitely swung the other way for Fred, you know, and those things were those required moments that were probably a little difficult for both runners. So
Indeed, and it's interesting to see how SirLinkalot's due diligence has panned out in this seed versus fcoughlин's speed routing. Unfortunately, being short on shards is a huge time sink. You have to kind of scavenge the world and look for them, and so if you didn't do your due diligence before, every second gained from fading checks is now wasted, making backtracks to make up for that time loss.
exactly. I know in all the practice seeds I've run, those early go mode seeds are the ones where, you know, are the most tricky to sort of gather everything I need, and the shards is the thing that takes the longest out of that point. So I've tried to err on the side of caution and get more, spend a little time early, and hope that, you know, I'm not going to lose that time later on.
Yeah, indeed, and it looks like we're going to be getting a 17 king. Definitely not out of line for this tournament in the slightest. Meanwhile, fcoughlin finishing out his shard hunt. I believe in that 2 frames of availability I had, he was just short a shard. Maybe? Chat, keep me honest. It was like 2 frames. You blink and you miss it.
2 here at least, so he should hopefully get them all.
Indeed. Meanwhile, SirLinkalot now proceeding on the Dark King. I'll be interested to see if he toggled on the true form randomizer. But let's see how the king... Yeah, let's see how the king is faring for tonight.
Yeah, will he be mean like so many of our other bosses have been, or is he in the mood to relax?
Ooh, skinny phase one. Not got one attack off before transitioning. Love to see it from the runners. Phase one can be kind of mean. It crits a lot for some reason, and the HP scaling on the attacks that get shuffled to it are not nice.
Definitely, it can be very spicy. He loves to open and just immediately wreck your day and put you on the back foot. I feel like.
Indeed, and speaking of HP scaling there, a fin that would normally slap you for very little from a fish just dealt 667 damage to Phoebe. So, yeah, HP scaling is a thing, and benign attacks like fin or punch can just be huge slaps in the face from the Dark King.
Definitely, I think Sucker Punch, when the Dark King uses that, it does a tremendous amount of damage.
Yeah, you might as well just take a Shoryuken right to the chin when he does that to you. And already moving on to phase 3. If this is a skinny king, Coughlin might not be able to recover. But if Linkalot takes a dive here, Coughlin is catching up rather quickly. A drain attack, double drain is going to help Linkalot a little bit. It is going to hurt Ben, but Phoebe can reflect that, and it's going to be damaging along the way. Oof, taking a dive here. This is not a position you like to see. The gold web PTSD is strong with me, but I know that's not a strong possibility with the attack shuffler, but it can happen.
It definitely can. I mean, not that Sky Attack is particularly that much better, although you don't have to worry about the statuses that come along with gold web at least.
Indeed. So long as phase 3 and 4 are just pushing out damage, this should be a pretty comfortable fight for Linkalot, unless a crit happens, which totally can. But looks like Phoebe has the speed advantage here, so we are going to go into triage attack. Never mind, spoke too soon. Looks like that Phoebe and Dark King might be tied for speed. Ooh.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, getting very scary here. Not having the turn preference every turn can put you, at a severe disadvantage if he doesn't play nice.
Indeed, but Linkalot falling back on that game knowledge, using defend and sacrificing a turn and opts for triage here, not wanting to lose the fight. Meanwhile, fcoughlin now getting the Dark King starting to fight. If Linkalot dies here, this could be fcoghlin's game to take. Moving on, the Sky attacks are hurting like crazy. Level 17 being just enough to push out of it. 16 on fcoghlin's side as well, so he will be able to barely live through those, but it will be spooky nonetheless.
Definitely, they're not, as optimally geared. Fred has the armor and shield over SirLinkalot, so maybe that'll give him, a little bit more survivability through these phases.
Indeed, the stats on that equipment are not to be sneezed at, and it's almost like a flip side of what we were talking about earlier, where Linkalot was the higher level one, and I think it made a couple more pickups, but now, because fcoughlin took the time to run back out and get the shards and do those quest chains to get an ice pyramid, he's been rewarded with a few other pieces of gear that Linkalot did not pick up. I don't even think Linkalot bought the noble armor from...
Yeah, he may not have had enough to purchase it when he was there. It was towards the end of the seed, when he locked away behind the Sun Coin.
But that is time for SirLinkalot, making him match 1's winner for tonight. Get your GGs in chat for SirLinkalot.
Well ran, yeah, that seed had some nasty progression spots along the way, some bosses. It definitely required persevering, and just being determined to fight them a few times until the RNG and damage went in your favor, and some heads-up strats from both runners to get through said boss fights.
Indeed. So Linkalot finishing on a 105.59. Meanwhile, fcoughlin not having race safe audio, so we're not going to hear any awesome music on his side, but we are going to see one of our community members, Rad Pazuzus, the cooler Pazuzu, if you will, being the true form of Dark King. The Jerkbird will make an appearance no matter what, chat. You can't get away from him. You cannot escape. He will find you, and he will Psy Shield you. It's just a matter of time.
Thank goodness Dark King can't use Psych Shield in the script.
Yet.
Oh no, don't give him ideas.
Oh man, I'm not the person to speak that into existence. But some of the mean things I've seen Ham contemplate making for this randomizer, I would not be surprised to fire up a seed one day on a shadow drop update, and all of a sudden Dart King flaps at me menacingly. That would be that would be triggering to say the least. But it'd be a welcome surprise. I always love seeing the spooky stuff.
Right, it would be a shock you would remember. That is for sure.
Indeed. And fcoughlin now easily clearing up his Dark King fight. And GG's to both of our runners. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get both of them up in the booth. And we are joined by SirLinkalot. GG's.
Thank you.
Quite the back and forth you two had tonight. We'll see if we can get fcoughlin in here as well. But as our winner for tonight, how'd you feel about that? I know you had a pretty rough start, to say the least. We saw you take a couple dives and have a couple rough boss fights, just pure RNG. It felt like everything was working against you.
Yeah, Jin wasn't very happy with me, but I was really happy that I made the decision. Like, I'm in the area. Let's just do Medusa first. And I saw life. I was like, this fight took a little bit, but I'm not going to complain for life. And then when Jin was like, I'm going to start stoning all the time, I was like, I'm really glad I have life right now, because this would, I don't know if this would be doable without life.
Yeah, we saw fcoughlin take it on without life, and he also struggled on that fight. I think he got through it purely on good luck on the last attempt. But I think both of you, Jin was a huge gatekeeper. Some of those battlefields were mean too, like getting stuck on Mint blowing fire on you guys, and just some of the formations that you got that just led off with terrible attacks. Not something you want to see. And we're also joined by fcoughlin in the booth. GG's.
Thank you. Great race there, SirLinkalot. That was, wow. That was a seed.
Yeah, there certainly was GG's, Fred.
Not the worst seed I've rolled so far this tournament, but I always like to keep them entertaining, even though they're not truly anything I can control. RNG is making my spectator eyes favorable every time I commentate so far. Looking forward to it. So I already asked Link a lot about it, Coughlin. How did you feel about that open to that seed? Because there was a lot of rough formations and a lot of rough bosses.
Yeah, that was definitely scary there early. Kept thinking, oh gosh, we're going to have to do an early volcano there. Honestly, a bunch of it's still blurring together so much. But I kept saying every single time, like, okay, please not this. Please don't let me find, like, bombs in Pazuzu's tower, because that would mean that I could possibly have to fight Pazuzu. Please don't let me find this and that. And, like, thankfully, the worst case scenarios didn't quite happen. But it was definitely, like, nail biting several times through there as we were going.
Yeah, I think without the bad RNG you guys had on the enemy encounters, this would have been a jet seed by all things considered. I think y'all's only gating factor was realistically shards. And I mean, the hunt for those last couple shards really was the deciding factor in this race. Linkalot, we'll start with you. How did you feel when you went into Doom Castle Floor 1 and you were like, I am only 2 shards short?
So I wasn't terribly worried about it. I went to max ship kind of gambling that, max ship usually has a couple. Sometimes it's more. I'm like, maybe I get lucky and find 4. And then if I did, I was just going to kind of keep going in and out of Doom Castle to grab some levels, because I wasn't going to try Dark King with 600 health. No. But when I got the 2 and like, all right, I'm going to go into Doom Castle. I want to check the chest because I still didn't have a sword. So I'm thinking, Ice Pyramid is open. I need a sword, though. There has to be 2 in there. And when I pulled Flare, I was like, okay, I'm happy to see Flare, but it's not a sword. I'm just like, there's 2 in Pazuzu's tower. I'm just going to go grab them and go at this point. And I'll go grab like a battlefield or 2 to try to get some levels before going in.
Yeah, and good on you for remembering those 2 shards. I vaguely remember them, and as soon as you left and started heading that direction, it's like, I remember those shards. That's where he's going. So honestly, a great play. Saved you a ton of time. How about you, Coughlin? When you got at the end, you're like, I'm in go mode, but I don't have my shards. What was going through your mind there?
You mean 14 shards, I think, when I officially had everything else is, I think, where I was. Well, at the time, I was like, okay, let me go do the tree, completely forgetting the fact that the tree was the other location in the world that could handle the sword, and that was probably most of that 90 seconds there, was the slight forage into the tree. But then it was like, okay, well, I really need a sword, so let me just start doing a whole bunch more key item checks, because I want to get into the pyramid, because the pyramid almost always has a bunch, especially with everything else I hadn't seen yet. Like, I could go a bunch of places for 1 or 2 off, but it just didn't feel like that was going to be, that was going to be any productive time-wise. And, of course, they were all together there in Fireburg, just waiting for a bunch of other fetch quests to finish. I could have actually had that sword much earlier if I'd really, really wanted to, if I'd felt like dumping Tristram.
Yeah, for sure. We weren't...
I wanted the white spell from Phoebe to do all the fighting.
Yeah, no, we were commenting on that earlier. I think we saw one of you hesitate. I think it was you, Coughlin. The first time you got to Bone Dungeon, you hesitated for just a second, and I was like, maybe he's contemplating going back and grabbing Tristram just for a second, and then you dove in. I was like, well, the contemplation's over. The decision's been made.
Yeah, I think I was trying to. Yeah, I was trying to remember level-wise. I think at the time I might not have even had. I think Tristram may have still been 7 at that point. I don't remember if I had gone into. Not Phoebe, but I don't remember if I had actually gone in yet to get the Squidite there. And so I was like, if he's 7, I can't use life from him. I don't remember where I picked up life. So honestly, at this point, it's all blurred together. But I'm like, I'd rather just be able to get in there and ideally get exit and get out.
Yeah.
So I was like that, but then I was like, okay, fine, we'll just go with Phoebe here.
Yeah, and honestly, the key items kind of lined up for you. I was really interested to see. It's like you guys dove Bone Dungeon first, got Libra Crest out of the Quake chest, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam, Libra Temple's right there. It's like, oh, well, that's convenient. Wake Water being in the battlefield on the same continent in Fireburg as Aquaria. Really nice lineups in terms of key items, but ultimately the deciding factor being shards. Definitely, I think this is the first seed we've seen like that so far this tournament.
Yeah, I don't expect it'll be our last with the number of ones that have come up in practices across the board. They end up this way.
Indeed. Potato, any questions for our runners?
No, although do you, I guess here's one. Do you know what the seed wanted you to do to get, the things that you actually had towards the end?
I think I figured it out towards the very end there, where I needed to get that multi-key. Was that after Squidite? I can't remember. But it was wherever it was. I had to chase the multi-key because I realized, okay, bombs weren't legal because Mobius backdoor was not legal. The bombs that we got from the bottom of Bone Dungeon weren't legal because they were bomb-blocked bombs. So I think it was something like that.
Yeah, it was multi-key from Squidite leading you to that, the Mega Grenades, and then Tristram 2 with your sword that you would have had at that point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Evil seed.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely a roundabout. But, I think that's why everybody's enjoying these tournament seed settings, because you never know what you're going to get. So going into match 2, let me look at the schedule. When is match 2 lined up for you two?
Tomorrow night, I believe.
Yep, tomorrow night at 10:30. Right.
Indeed. And so, Linkalot, starting with you, any changes to your routing or strategy going into match 2? I know you're the winner tonight, but it felt a little rough at the beginning there. Is anything going through your mind of what you might switch it up with tomorrow?
Make a better sacrifice to RNGesus before the race.
Always a great play. Get better sheep. Chat, don't skimp out on your animal sacrifices. RNGesus will not be pleased. What about you, Coughlin?
Prayer, and probably either going to have to go very conservative or very aggressive. I might have to watch back the race and try to metagame. Of course, now Linkalot will then be trying to metagame off my metagaming, which means I'll have to metagame appropriately off of Linkalot's metagaming of my metagaming. And so on. I'll just try to hopefully mess Linkalot's head off enough so that way we can get to a third race on Wednesday.
Indeed, you always love to see a third race, and yeah, looking back at the VODs is always a valid strategy. Peeking at what your opponent did is never anything frowned to punch at. As a matter of fact, I encourage it to help you improve as a better player, because if someone can think of something that you couldn't, more power to them. We're all individuals, we all think differently, so someone thinking outside of your box is never a bad thing, and adopting those strategies for a tournament of all things, pretty smart move to make. Don't be too prideful, but that is going to do it for us, Jack. Really quick, I do want to go ahead and plug the Speedgaming Live ticket sales. So there are ticket sales available for the in-person Speed Gaming Live event happening this year. Be sure to check out those ticket sales on Speed Gaming Live's website. And also there are volunteer opportunities available. So if you want to get involved with Speed Gaming Live as an event and you want to help out, please check out the volunteer forum, look at the application spots available. All these events that we love to see online on Twitch or in person are all run by people, and we need hands to make those events happen, or we can't have them in the future, or they won't run as smoothly in the future without your help. Anyways, that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, give our runners a follow. Fried Potato, as always, treat to have you in the booth with me in 10. I know you're on mute right now, but thank you so much for being our tracker tonight. Always a pleasure having you help us out when we might have missed something.